And how about, I mean, you do lyrics in English too. How hard is it to find the correct words for what you feel, for what you want to express? Is it that difficult to do this in another language?
It's different. Yeah, of course. It's a bit strange because English is becoming so common that it almost becomes like another first language for. That's how I feel about English. I think theater has a little bit like that. We're all pretty adept at English, and it feels easy because so much around us is in English, and we get English input all the time. Whereas Faroese is a bit different. It's our native language that we speak all the time, but we don't get as much outside input constantly, giving us new words and new phrases to work with, only from our close environment. And if you're not very social, like for example I'm not speaking that much to different people all the time, so so you need to maybe read instead. There's a lot of literature on the Faroe Islands, thankfully, so that's where you can get that from. But it's kind of a different thing. But I definitely feel like performing in my native language is a better way of expressing myself. It's not so much about finding the right words, but about actually not having to worry about how you physically make the sounds.
How about the language itself is kind of isolated because there is just this small community using it, while, as you said correctly, English is spoken by nearly everybody nowadays. So of course there are a lot of influences from a lot of other languages coming into English and exchanging it every day. But then I don't think it is the same way with your native language, is it? Is it kind of a limit, or is it kind of a freedom to choose the old words, the way it has always been, feeling like kind of safety in this construct of this language you have always had?
No, of course all languages change, especially when you're a westernized country with a strong connection to all the other countries, and people are just like any Western people, internet and same kind of businesses and stuff. So no, English is a big influence on younger people right now. YouTube is probably a huge thing for kids and teenagers, affecting the way they speak. So English is doing a big kind of invasion since last 10 years probably, and before that Danish was a pretty big influence because a lot of the media that we got was Danish. So it used to be Danish, now it's English. But there's also kind of a movement towards invigorating the Faroese language and sticking with the old words and trying to find new words that we haven't had before for modern things. So we have our own word for computer and helicopter and stuff like that.
So it's more like Finnish and French who have in those languages you have own words not completely taken from another language, while English on the other side is like taking over all the words from other languages just as they are and use them as English terms then.
Yeah, exactly, I'd say that. So basically it becomes a kind of a race because English is like, okay, now this word is English, then we have to find a different kind of word, I guess. But it's interesting how it evolves, but we're affected by Western society as like everyone else. We're not so isolated anymore.
I take it you're spread quite over Europe and by the time now. So what is the key motive with the band dynamics still? Is it still the band of friends that has come up and it's still working like this, like coming home to see the friends is meeting the band?
Yeah, like when we get together?
Yeah. Is this still the key motive to keep the band going?
Yeah, of course we want to play music, so that's kind of...
That's why we started the band.
Yeah.
When we started the band, we knew each other at least most of us knew each other, but we weren't as close friends as we are now.
Okay.
So that's something that has grown out of the band and out of traveling as much as we have together. I think it's quite unique that we've been so many minibus tours together, and we're an extremely different bunch of people. Pretty different characteristics, but we get along really well and know each other extremely well by now. So that makes everything a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable, obviously. But the main motive is still the music.
I think we all, of course, music is the thing that kind of, or one of the things that keeps us together, but I think really the sense of humor is really something that I think is really connecting us somehow. It's we have a way of speaking extremely easily with each other and about everything, and we're just kind of well connected, I think, in a strange way.
Speaking of tour life, is it the humor that keeps you, or that gets you through all the waiting?
The humor? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's basically everything that goes on outside of working on the shows. It's just fooling around and talking shit, and many of us enjoy the same things. Many of us enjoy these sci-fi horror films, and then there are other kinds of overlaps and interest. So it's we always have something to talk about. It's very, very easy.